Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to try to answer your questions about the two hottest wagons available, the all-new Audi RS6 Avant and the Mercedes-Benz AMG E63 S Wagon. First, thanks to everyone who continues to watch our channel, and for those who are new, we review cars in person, but we also like to talk about two or more cars and put them against each other on paper. Now, these being performance-oriented versions of these two wagons, of course, we're going to look at performance metrics, but we'll also look at things from a real-world perspective. Things like cargo space, fuel efficiency, which one has more interior room, and much more. So if you can't decide between the Audi RS6 Avant and the Mercedes-Benz AMG E63 S Wagon, hopefully this video will get you closer to making a decision or just give you a bunch of information about these two amazing wagons. So let's jump into it. Because these are performance wagons, let's talk about the engines first. The Mercedes E63 S is equipped with a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine making 603 horsepower and 627 foot-pounds of torque. It's mated to Mercedes' new 9-speed multi-clutch automatic transmission. On the flip side, the Audi RS6 Avant is also equipped with a 4-liter twin-turbocharged V8, but it makes slightly less power with an output of 591 horsepower and 590 foot-pounds of torque. The Audi RS6's engine is mated to a traditional 8-speed automatic. One item to note here is that the Audi RS6 has a 48-volt hybrid system incorporated with its gas engine. Another item of importance is that both the E63 and the RS6 come standard with all-wheel drive. You cannot get these wagons in any other configuration, which is kind of a bummer because imagine how much more fun it would be if either one of these would be available in a rear-wheel drive format. Anyway, the Mercedes has a little bit more power versus the Audi, 12 and 37 more in the horsepower and torque departments respectively. So given that both these wagons have a lot of power, the assumption is that they should accelerate quickly as well, and man do they not disappoint. The Mercedes sprints to 60 in 3.4 seconds and the Audi in 3.6 seconds. It's pretty remarkable that a wagon can move this quickly. So the takeaway here is that both of these wagons are very fast and have a lot of horsepower and torque, but I think you probably already knew that. So now let's look at some of the things that apply more to the real world. So given that these are wagons, one of the benefits versus the regular E-Class sedan or the Audi A6 is that there is extra space in the trunk for your belongings. So let's look at cargo space. The Mercedes E63 S comes in at 35 cubic feet when the seats are up and an eye-popping 64 cubic feet of space if you fold down the rear seats. The Audi RS6 comes in with 20 and 59.3 cubic feet, rear seats up and down respectively. So you can see that the E63 has more cargo space in both configurations, seats up and down, versus the Audi, and we'll tell you why here in a second by covering the exterior dimensions. But before I do that, I wanted to throw in the sedan versions of these cars. Here's the chart with the E350 and the Audi A6 sedan. In either car, the wagon has so much more room versus the sedan. Here's another one that's probably going to catch you by surprise. Let's throw on some SUVs, the Audi Q5 and the Mercedes GLC SUV. The E63 wagon has more cargo space than either of these two SUVs, and when you fold down the rear seats, both the RS6 and the E63 have more cargo space than either the Q5 and the GLC. It's pretty interesting, huh? I bet a lot of people didn't know that a wagon could have more cargo space than an SUV. Alright, enough of comparing wagons to sedans to SUVs. Let's get back to the E63 S and the RS6 Avant. Remember how the E63 had more cargo space than the RS6? Well, let me explain why. Here are the exterior dimensions, essentially how big the Audi and the Mercedes are. You can see that the E63 is bigger in every single category and it sits lower versus the Audi RS6, and that's the reason why it has more cargo space. Look at the length category. The E63 is almost 3 inches longer compared to the Audi RS6. These are definitely not small cars or small wagons in comparison. Now that we looked at the exterior dimensions, let's look at how much room you've got in the interior by comparing legroom, headroom, and shoulder room. Interestingly, the Audi, albeit with small margins, bests the Mercedes E63 in most of these interior categories. The front passengers will have more room in the Audi RS6, and when you go to the back seat, the Mercedes has 1.5 inches of extra headroom, but the Audi RS6 takes the legroom and shoulder room categories. It's quite fascinating that the Audi is the smaller car here. It seems like they focus more on the interior compared to the Mercedes. The next item is fuel efficiency. In the E63, you get 16 in the city, 23 on the highway for a combined average of 19. Unfortunately, there isn't anything released for the Audi RS6 Avant, but given that the RS6 has a 48-volt hybrid system, it would be interesting to see if it's able to best the Mercedes in the fuel efficiency category. And now let's talk about pricing. The Mercedes comes in at $111,750, while the Audi slightly undercuts it at $109,000 even, for a difference of $2,750. Now, almost $3,000 extra for the Mercedes isn't a small chunk of change, but I'm willing to say that if you can afford the RS6, you can probably fork up the extra $3,000 and go for the E63, of course, if that's what your preference calls for. The next and final category that I want to compare is more of a subjective category, and that's the colors that are available in either of these cars. In the Mercedes, you've kind of got this standard color spectrum. You've got blacks, 2 blacks in fact, several of the lighter colors, silver, white, and gray. And in addition to that, you've got 3 somewhat exciting designo colors. One is called Cardinal Red, you can see here. Then it's the Diamond White Metallic. And finally, the gray Magno matte color, which is very popular for the E63 wagon. Flipping over into the RS6 Avant, of course, the US configurator is not available at this time, so I had to take a look at the UK configurator, and it looks like there's very similar colors compared to the Mercedes. You've got the Nardo gray color, which was the premier color for the RS6, then of course a couple of the silver and the white, and in addition to that, the black, and you've got a blue, another red here, and another one is Daytona gray. Audi does a great gray color in my opinion. And in addition to that, you've also got the Audi exclusive paint colors here, which allow you somewhat a greater amount of customization. Hey, that green color there looks really interesting. And of course, the matte color paints, which here you can see is an extra £6,000 probably, since this is the UK version of the configurator. So that's pretty much it. Those are the categories we're comparing for the Audi RS6 Avant and the Mercedes E63 wagon. In conclusion, for a couple years now, the Mercedes E63 S Wagon was the king of the wagon hill, given its performance, luxury, technology, and of course, its ability to be a supercar, grocery-getting family car. But now that Audi has decided to bring the RS6 Avant back to the United States, the E63 has a worthy competitor in its price range. Given that the Audi just came out, it seems like it's a little bit more technologically advanced versus the E63. In addition to that, the aggressive lines of the Audi make it look more modern and fresher, for the lack of a better term. On the flip side, the Mercedes seems like it will continue to be the better performer, and it will also have the ability to carry around more cargo space given its bigger overall size. Overall, it's hard to argue that if someone had to buy one car that could do it all, the Audi RS6 and the Mercedes E63 S Wagon would be the top 2 on the list. These 2 wagons offer unbelievable performance, more than enough for the regular driver and even the weekend enthusiast. And on the flip side, they can carry 5 people comfortably and offer more cargo space than a modern mid-size SUV. I'm sure glad I don't have to make a decision between these 2 wagons, but for those of you who do, I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching. Until next time, drive steady.